Oh boy, this is going to be a very hard ranking. Yes, it's time for another album ranking. Today we are ranking the impossible band Insomnium. This is going to be an incredible hard album ranking. I don't know why I picked the bands that is so hard to rank, because honestly every single fucking album from this band is an absolute masterpiece. In case you don't know, Insomnium are a Finnish melodic death metal band. Although I can argue with you guys that they at times aren't melodic death metal, they're sort of a doom metal band, especially throughout their modern stuff. Honestly, this band is very hard to rank, so don't get too pissy that I put your favorite album last. So we got 8 albums to rank. Coming in at number 8 is Across the Dark. Although I absolutely love this album, this was one of the first albums that I got into Insomnium when I said, holy shit, this band is actually clicking to me. Absolutely love the sound of this band. Incorporate elements of melodic death metal along with some doom metal elements, but Insomnium do it so well, especially on this album. Although this may be the weakest album of their discography in my opinion, there's still some absolute banger songs. Probably my favorite song of the album is Delay of Autumn, which is like a 9-minute song, followed by Weighted Down with Sorrow, amazing epic song as well. But I just feel that a lot of this album has filler songs in my opinion. It's just the overall structure. There's not many memorable moments of this album, but I absolutely still enjoy it. Like, I love his vocal range. His vocal range is absolutely incredible throughout this album, not to mention some really nice guitar riffs. But I just feel Across the Dark is definitely their weakest album. I commend you if you put this album as number 1. First of all, it's an amazing fucking album, but of course, will you stop rocking the table? Insomnium has a flawless discography. Alright, so coming in at number 7 will piss a lot of you guys off, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. This is my ranking, and you will respect my ranking just as I will respect yours, but it's that Winter's Gate. Now, I understand the hype of this album. I absolutely fucking love it. This is just a one-song masterpiece. To me, it doesn't sound like Insomnium. But Insomnium incorporate it's a very progressive metal album with some really nice doomy elements as well, and I really love the structure, but I just feel that I don't go back listening to this album. Sometimes I listen to Insomnium on shuffle. Every time I listen to a song of this album, it just wrecks the flow, and I just feel that this one album with that one song is an absolute fantastic song that deserves to be listened to its own. If you're listening to Insomnium if you're listening to a song, hang on,
get out.
A lot of people say that this album is absolutely fantastic, which I like. There are some memorable moments as well, and you know what? I wouldn't care if you put this at number 1, but I just feel it's the second weakest album just because of the overall structure. There are some really nice moments as well. I love the riffrages throughout some of these songs, throughout this whole entire song, not to mention some really nice guitar moments and how atmospheric this album is at times, but I just feel that Winter's Gate is probably an overrated album by this band because there are so many other better albums than Winter's Gate. So next up is One for Sorrow, a fantastic fucking album. Again, a 10 out of 10, absolutely love it. Really love the melodic tone. It's incorporated more doomy elements throughout this album, but very melodic death moments as well. Really love the riffrages throughout the song, especially Inertia and Through the Shadow, incorporating elements of that really melancholy feel. In case you don't know, Insomnium is very melancholic melodic death metal. I really love this kind of sound. Like, Insomnium is definitely my favorite band, my favorite melodic death metal band of all time. But One for Sorrow is an absolutely magnificent way to end off the album, but there are some really nice flows, and I just love the structure, really love the dynamic feel, and his vocals are absolutely fantastic, incorporating cleaner vocals throughout some of these songs, some very memorable catchy choruses as well. What I love in between this album is the song Decurrence. So damn good, such an awesome instrumental that melts your heart every time you listen to it. But One for Sorrow pains me to put this in this position because I just feel that there are some weaker songs off this album. Okay, so coming up next is the album Shadows of the Dying Sun, another fucking album I absolutely love. It's a masterpiece by Insomnium. Really enjoy the overall structure of this album, and While We Sleep is one of the best Insomnium songs. I just love how hearkening this album feels at times, very melodic, quite doomy as well, incorporating that ethereal, melancholic atmosphere as well. Loose Tonight's amazing. That The River is an absolutely incredible song. Really love the song The River. I love the beautiful solos, the beautiful lavishing guitars as well. They just make the song quite epic. Overall, it's a very long melodic death metal album, which I absolutely fucking love. I love how most of Insomnium albums are over an hour long. Something that a lot of melodic death metal bands can't even get to. But Insomnium do it so fucking well. Because at times this album doesn't sound like melodic death metal. It sounds like melancholic doom metal. Okay, next up is Since the Day It All Came Down, an absolutely fantastic fucking album. Again, it's another masterpiece. I just feel this is definitely the weakest production of their discography because the production isn't as great as all the other albums. The reason why this is so damn high is because how memorable this album is. It certainly has, dare I say, a gothic vibe, especially incorporating elements of those synths throughout some of these songs. I love the song Closing Words, love the title track as well, and Daughter of the Moon. It's really awesome melodic moments, but this is when Insomnium really changed up their sound, where In the Halls of the Waiting was a lot more melodic death, but this album was much more slower, but much more heavier. This is a very raw and visceral album by Insomnium, which I absolutely love. Again, it's another banger, another fucking banger with an incredible track list. Absolutely love this album. Every time I listen to this album, this was my #1 album. But of course, what lacks with this album is the overall production. The overall production isn't that great. The mixing isn't that great as well. But it still holds true to that Insomnium sound. Coming in next is Heart Like a Grave. This is fantastic. This is very doomy. This album is very doomy. Definitely the most doomiest album by this band. Insomnium, in my opinion, it sounds like Swallow the Sun. If you love fucking Swallow the Sun, you're gonna fucking well love this. Except Swallow the Sun is just a little bit doomier, more death doom. Insomnium are very similar to Swallow the Sun, especially on this album. Valediction, amazing chorus. All these fucking choruses are so fucking catchy. Pale Morning Star as well. Incorporating elements of melodic death metal along with that melancholic metal along with that doom metal was, could I say, maybe sounds of death doom at times, especially the vocals. Absolutely love the vocals. And Bells They Toll, one of my favorite songs off the album. But you got songs like The Offering, even Heart Like a Grave. Heart Like a Grave is so damn good. I love how catchy this song is, especially the melody. The melody and the acoustic vibes throughout this album are so damn fucking good. It's another masterpiece by Insomnium. Absolutely love it. I kind of wish that I'd gotten Insomnium a little bit earlier because I actually didn't like this band. I actually didn't like this band until I finally gave them a proper listen. And I absolutely fell in love. And Heart Like a Grave is such a fantastic album that I go and listen to it over and over again. And it's one of my favorite albums by this band. Okay, so coming in at #2 is In the Halls of Waiting. Now this is the much more rawer melodic death metal sound. This is definitely the most melodic death metal album by Insomnium. Absolutely love this album. Really love Ill-Starred Sun. Not to mention In the Halls of Waiting, which is like a 10-minute masterpiece. I love this production on this album. The Outer, Shades of Deep Green, just incredible songs off this album. I just love how this album flows. It's another long album by this band, again ranging about 56 minutes, but this album takes you on a journey. Believe it or not, this is their debut album as well, and they kicked fucking goals on this album, which made them go by strength. But of course, I think their sophomore album, Since the Day It All Came Down, lacks a little bit of its personality and also its structure. But this album's pretty tight, pretty cohesive. Absolutely fucking love it. Love the structure of this album. How this album ends epically. Title track on this album is so damn fucking good. Okay, so next up, so coming in at #1, my favorite Insomnium album of all time, it's Above the Weeping World. Absolutely fucking fantastic album. This is, in my opinion, is their best album. I absolutely love it. Every single song is a killer. Every single song is memorable. It's a mix of melodic death along with doom metal as well. It's very moody, quite bleak, and it's quite depressing as well. This is the perfect Insomnium album, in my opinion. Songs like The Gale, Mortal Share, along with Killjoy. Killjoy is definitely one of my favorite songs off this band's discography. Absolutely love it. Every song just is a fucking banger. Absolutely love how moody this album is, and it just flows so cohesively, so coherently. Such a good damn fucking album. If you enjoy that melodic death mixed with that melodic doom metal, you're gonna fucking well love this because his vocals are so damn good especially the guitar riffages throughout some of these songs, and especially some solos as well. Some solos that will just melt your fucking heart. It's mouth-watering. This album is mouth-watering, and it's honestly my favorite album of all time by this band. You know what, believe it or not, my ranking has changed even as I was filming, because I thought my ranking was set in stone, but every time I looked at that album, I said, holy shit, this album is as better as this album. But you know what, the ranking can change, because next week, like Winter's Gate could be number one. I'm not too sure. In my opinion, Above the Weeping World is my favorite Insomnium album at the moment. Comment below your favorite album, and also comment below your ranking as well. Do you agree or disagree with my opinion? Don't get too harked up about it. This is just fun. This is an album ranking, and this is my opinion. You will respect my opinion just as I will respect yours. So keep discussion going in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.